Hi and welcome to my channel. This is part 2 of my building a back for my eBay Find 5x7 travel camera tailboard design. Those of you who saw part 1 will probably realise it came without film holders and it had a broken screen. And so I needed to get a replacement screen and a way of fitting it so that it would take modern film holders, so I could actually start to use it again. I ordered a screen from those lovely people at Intrepid Cameras, and it arrived really promptly. It was under £40 and it was supplied in the biggest box I have ever seen for a small item. Quite big enough to put the whole camera in actually, which is fantastic, and a real big up to the guys at Intrepid Cameras. Of course, having the screen gave me the critical dimensions that I needed to actually start designing the spring back. I've posted in videos before that I've got access, because I've got a big workshop for my main job, to laser cutter and all kinds of other high-tech gear, and so I also have access to computer-aided design, which is quite handy. As you can see from this photograph, I don't always use the laser for cutting things. This was from a previous video when I was making a lens board for my big 250mm portrait lens on 5.4. Just a coping saw and a vise and a bit of energy expended, and if I didn't have the laser available, that's exactly how I'd be making the spring back. Of course, the laser makes it quicker and a little bit more boy's toy like. So over a coffee and using some masking tape to temporarily laminate everything up together, I trial fitted the whole lower part of the back, the part that's closest to the lens, into the channel on the back of the camera. To create the groove that the little brass lugs lock into so the whole spring back can slide in, I used a piece of something called compressed fibre, which is used by a lot of people for making knife handles, but I use it for another purpose entirely in my normal work. And I made that slightly smaller than the outside of the back, and that creates the channel. Time now to glue everything up. There were a total of 4 laminations. That was 2 to create the 6mm first section that slid into the back, the vulcanized fibre section to make the channel, then a wider section that went onto the back of that, which actually created the surface that the double dark slide film holder will sit on, and provide a base for the rails that the focusing screen holder will sit between. That's actually easier to see in the next image than it is to describe. I lined all the layers up by driving 1.6mm machine screws through the unglued layers and then gradually gluing them and assembling them and putting them in the clamping rig. What you're looking at here is the completed base of the spring back. The black layer that's glued on is to give the 2mm depth for the groove that takes the ridge on the 5x7 film holder. This has to be quite exact, of course, because the whole fit of the double dark slide and whether or not it's light type will depend on how well that groove fits and how well the whole double dark slide fits between the rails, which is the next bit I'll come on to. You'll see here as well that the holder for the screen, the ground glass screen, has been cut with its little feet that takes the screen, and that will fit nicely between the rails that I'm about to make. The rails that the film holder goes between are actually the only bits of proper tropical hardwood in the entire build. I bought some 6mm by 12mm mahogany online, and the 12mm rails you can see are actually laminated 2 layers of that on their edge. The reason for that is really inconvenience in that I couldn't get any 12 by 12mm, and I don't really have the facilities for planing up mahogany accurately. I'm going to jump ahead a little bit here and show you how I made the springs for the spring back. In commercially made spring backs, they're actually made out of spring steel. That's an absolute bitch to work with, and I'd have to anneal and harden it, and yeah, too much messing about. I decided in this instance to make them out of fiberglass. .6mm circuit board backing, to be exact. Do be careful if you do this yourself, because it's horrible to cut. It produces really nasty powdery dust, and it will destroy saws. A high-speed steel hacksaw blade really is the only thing that will touch it, and be prepared for arm ache because it'll take a long time to cut, but it will cut, unlike spring steel. And here we have the nearly finished springback. All that I have to do now is to make the little clips that will allow me to fit the ground glass screen in there, and as you will see in a moment, the back actually fits on the camera really well and works really quite smoothly with the odd squeak. I'm sure that'll ease with wearing in. So that's pretty much all I'm going to cover in this episode. The next episode will be all about making the clips to fit the ground glass screen, possibly easing and fettling everything up and just making it a bit nicer, and maybe taking the tension down a little bit on those springs. Obviously there's some measurement to be done and some shimming to get the ground glass screen in exactly the film plane, but I'm quite looking forward to doing that. And then the back will be done. Following that, of course, I'll be making a lens board to get one of my more modern lenses fitted to the camera to try it out. Well, that's about the end of this. I absolutely thrive on any comments you'd like to make below, and if you've enjoyed what you've seen, think about subscribing. And yeah, you could hit that like and turn on your notifications so you can see when my next video comes up. Anyway, till the next time, you take care of yourselves, and bye for now.